Come and get started on a new mission, a new direction, a new intention. Welcome to 5.8G Alive at Connections 50 Plus. I am Terry-Ann Joseph Brathwaite.
And I am Jennifer Gibbons Joseph, catering to all your prospects in the third act of life.
Economic well-being, social gratification, personal fulfillment.
Join us on Wednesday at 6 p.m. on Connections 50 Plus Facebook page, YouTube channel,
and on Gael the Caribbean.
Hi, good evening, and welcome to Connections 50 Plus 5.8G Alive Show. I am Jennifer Gibbons Joseph, one of the co-creators of Connections 50 Plus, and as usual with me is my colleague.
Hi everyone, welcome. I am Terry-Ann Joseph Brathwaite, the other co-creator of Connections 50 Plus. Welcome.
Great. So Terry-Ann, this week, besides being very rainy, how was it for you?
Oh, well, this week I got into resetting my garden.
Nice.
I am into full-fledged farmer Terry mode.
Good.
I'm doing some interesting experiments. I'm looking at vertical farming. So I'm planting watermelon. I'm going watermelon on a trellis. And I let everybody know in my garden, I don't bend down too low. And I must see clearly where the creepy crawly is going because I can't deal with snake and frog and also my garden is a
But tell me, Terry-Ann, vertical with watermelon. I know that I have been seeing some very small ones. I mean, you got some of the huge ones. I'm assuming the vertical will be the small ones.
It's an 8-pound. I'm doing the sugar baby, the 8-pound. But the trick is what you do is you put a sling, like you take like a t-shirt or something and you make a hammock and you tie it onto the trellis. So as the watermelon grows, it's supported. So it's
Okay. That's interesting.
And each vine is going to have probably about 3 or 4 melons. So you just have to, it's all sticks and stones in my yard and prop up. And no, when you come for our special thing, I'll show you. But my same and my, I'm going to have a quarrel, Jennifer. My body and string beans sprouting, I have 4 nice little leaves on my body, and this iguana come and eat half. I
know about that problem.
In a pot.
I know about that problem with iguanas. Yeah, so that's good.
I've been farmer Terry for the week. How you for this week?
No, I did something. I decided to plant some fruit trees.
Nice.
Because I looked at it and I said, you know what, in that space now, let me put fruit trees. So that's what I did. So I bought King Orange.
Oh, beautiful.
I bought the dwarf. I don't want any tree grow bigger. So everything now, when you ask them at the garden shop, they tell you, we have these dwarf plants. So I bought King Orange. You will wait and see. I bought King Orange and I bought avocado.
But dwarf is a function of the container it is in. And if it is in the ground, it is a function of your pruning and maintaining.
Yes, they told me what to do.
It's growing.
They told me what to do. I remember that when I bought the mango tree and the guy told me what to do and I was fed up. And next thing you know, I have a big mango tree in the yard. So yeah.
I have to mind it like bonsai.
Yeah. So this time normally they recommend this time for planting,
Yeah.
So I did the same. So that's nice. And I just enjoying that. I enjoy being outside in the garden.
Yeah. No, I think it's important. I looked at a video the other day that talked about, and I'll share it with you, talked about really one of our great followers, Kester Hamlet, sent it to me. The real importance of understanding soil and the quality of soil and how that can make your home gardening productive, more productive than mass gardening. So it's important. It's a nice relaxing pastime, but it also hits the pocket.
Yeah, because we are complaining about food prices, so we have to look at ways. And I am only planting things I like. So that's why I say, king orange, the avocado, have a guava tree, things have the sour sap. So yeah. And we have the mangoes. So I'm doing well.
Very good. Very good.
Okay. So Terry, so we move in this week.
Get ready for the 70's.
So last week we started, and this week we're going to talk about where you living.
Where you living, and that too is tied to the money question and all kinds of things. So Jennifer,
yes, so we chatted last week about who are you minding, and we got really great feedback. Thanks again for the participation and the feedback on that. Most people felt it was such an interesting topic, and it's a lot of food for thought. So I really hope you all.
Who was upset we put her business on our program.
Because it hit home, and we are happy about that. So this week we're moving on, and we are talking about where are you living? Yeah.
Great. Jennifer, this where are you living question. I want permission and I'm putting you on the spot. I want permission to use you as a test case. Because as I said to everyone, I am just so impressed and proud of your decisiveness and your acting on this issue of living. And listeners, I didn't tell Jennifer I was going to do this. I just to do this. But if I can ask you, Jennifer, we know that you owned a home which was rented, and the rental arrangement ended, and you had to return to that home. So there was a financial issue. When you thought about going back to your house, what are some of the challenges or some of the issues that concerned you as you entered your 70th year and prepared for this the seventh decade of your life?
Because the decision came around this time at my 70th birthday. And because I'm one, and I've said that many times, that I plan in 10 years. So for me, the 70 to the 80 is critical years to me. So my approach to it, I prefer not see it much as challenges. My approach to it is, what am I going to do? What are my plans for the next 10 years? Okay, so yes, I could have looked at the situation as a great challenge, because you're thinking you're going to move back, about the financial situation, about, maybe some loneliness, etc., etc. So my approach was, again, what type of life I want to live for the next 10 years.
To that with the issue of going back to your house, what is the loneliness issue? What is that issue?
What popped in my head, and this is where, and I write down things, Daria, right? What popped in my head was, you again, I'm used to living alone, but still, there's always at the back of my mind, because it happened on 2 occasions where I fell ill and had no one to immediately come to my aid. You understand? So I always have that as the back of my mind.
Aloneness.
Yes, not that I'm lonely.
Aloneness.
Yeah, so that was one. And when that comes up, the question would be, how are you going to address it? So that to me would be the only negative that, I shouldn't say only negative.
Well, that came up. But aloneness is an issue.
So that is an issue, especially looking at the 70 to 80. because you're aging and expectations, you want to live a full healthy life, but there is also the chance of the challenge, a medical challenge or something. The other thing was finances. As you get older, your savings are being depleted. Okay.
Well, you're in the depletion
Investments,
phase.
and you
You're in
mentioned that,
depletion phase.
you mentioned that last week when you're chatting about what you're minding, that you may have investments, but the investments right now, this is the time for you to cash in on it. It comes to an end. Most of the times when you invested and you said 60, invested for like 10 years. So by 70, say, okay, most of the investments come to play. So it means then that you have to carefully look at your finances. So that is the other concern I put down, that, okay, are you able to take care of yourself between 70 and 80? Would your pension be enough, your savings, etc., etc.? So I looked at that. And the third, what I will call challenge, is in terms of activity. Because I like to be social. I like to go out and enjoy myself and have fun. And because where I am now, where I live, is a great distance from most of my friends, the friends who I would normally socialize with. And I am not a night driver. Although I don't go out much in the night, but when I say night, by the time it's 6 o'clock, I can't see again. So when I am saying night,
it's true, she can't see in the night.
I'm not talking about 10, 11, 12 o'clock, right? So those, I would say those were the three that I looked at if I could consider challenges. So I worked on, those are the three things I worked around to ensure that when I move, I will be comfortable.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jen, now your house is, for most people, if you own your home, it is probably your single biggest investment. It is a symbol of your success, your achievement, your prestige, your house. This is my house.
Yeah.
You made a decision to turn your home, which was free of debt and everything, into an income earning asset. And you essentially split it in two, creating a duplex to allow for a 1-bedroom. It's an apartment. And then you're in another half, the 2-bedroom. That is something that many people look at, and I don't want anybody living near to me. I don't want any this and that. And what was your thought process in giving up your house, your trophy, your house, and splitting it in two and having half of it for rental? What was your thought process? Okay,
my thought process was a very positive one, actually. I looked at two aspects of it. Remember, I just listed the three concerns I had. I didn't see, and I still don't see it as giving up my house. I am actually created a space that I love. Okay, I downsize, but I felt it is time to downsize, right? But I downsized in a way, I got the opportunity to now recreate a space that I say, yes,
suitable for this new life.
Next 10 years, oh yes. So I love my space as it is. For those who have been following the program early on, I was wondering where to put the kitchen and all these sort of stories. So I have been able to create a space right now that I love. So I don't see it as giving up anything at all, all right? Downsizing, which I see it is necessary when we reach this stage. Okay, so that's one. Creating the apartment for me did two things. It really took care of the concerns I had. One was the financial, can I take care of myself? Having a rental, it meant that I can have some income coming in, which will help me take care of myself, which will supplement the losses. Remember I'm saying it's in a depletion timing, right? So that rental bit, and remember the aloneness. I would have someone right next door, just in case of emergency, that I may be able to come to my aid sooner than if I have to wait for someone coming.
The ambulance.
So, and maybe able to call my family or something. So for me, that is a win-win. I didn't see that at all. I saw it as a win-win. And trying this is only as I'm talking to you now, maybe someone to knock about, but I don't know. I have no idea. It's not rented as yet. I know what I would like my ideal, tenant to look like, but these things, so, may not work accordingly. I'm open to, discussion there. But, and I'm back in an area, in a community that is a beautiful community. And I have access to clubhouse where I could, and at this stage in my life, let me tell you a secret, because there's a pool, etc. And I think it's time for me to go learn to swim and something that I avoided all the time. So yes, Tarian. So for me, that is planning for the next 10 years.
All right. Jennifer, I want to ask you 2 questions, and they are around downsizing and the financing. Now, most of us, as we get older, we've gone through our accumulation period, and downsizing is a dirty word for some, or for some people is like giving away my things, but for others it's liberating. It's allowing you to get rid of clutter and go on to a lot of new vistas. You're in your home now, you've sorted out the storage pods, you've done all kinds of stuff. Can you tell me what that downsizing process meant to you? What was it like?
No, you mentioned about liberating. Let me tell you, for me, it's really freeing up. I can release. I see when you release, you feel light, happy, and you can move into a new direction. This is how I look at it, okay? So for me, the only things, I'm not a hoarder. I'm definitely not a hoarder. So you have to know yourself. So it's much easier for someone like me who haven't been hoarding things to release. And I was never wanting to, because in my area, my time, it was a big thing to have crystals in a hutch, really nice, pretty hutch.
And everybody's time,
you have the crystals and you shine them up and all the nice things. Right. So because I wasn't into that never appealed to me. I didn't have that kind of attachment to things that would, because they worth a lot and to release. So that's okay. So the things that I had to release, to me, was okay. And I decided, like, I was told, why not have a garage sale? I didn't, because I felt also that was a way of me giving back and being grateful for being where I am today, So I gave away most of the excess things I had. I cleared down to my closet and all that. So yeah, I felt liberated.
So your downsizing was not traumatic.
Definitely not for me. But I can understand how it could be for others, but not.
But I think for most people, if you think about it and you start clearing out and you get some space and some air, you would be positive. The other thing, Jennifer, is that we talked about this and it went by very, very quickly. And we talk about this is a period of life where we deplete the resources. I know that this process of renovating your home and converting it into a duplex came at a significant cost. And I know you're not a wealthy woman and you had your savings as your backup. You
Yeah.
took a major risk in that you used your savings, the backup, to do this renovation.
Yeah.
And you are now perhaps with no backup.
Yeah.
Can you talk through, for the benefit of the members, that decision, that vulnerability, that risk? And at the end of the day, is it worth it?
For me, and let me start by saying, as a financial coach, you have to know your risk tolerance. All right? My risk tolerance is at a high level. I am a risk taker. So let me start by saying that. So I don't expect someone who isn't to do what I did. Okay? Actually, some of the financial advisors would say that is not something you should do at all. Okay? So let me start by saying that. For me, I wait. Again, you have to wait, look at your situation and know your risk tolerance. Okay? I also look at it, Tarian. We are saving for this stage. Remember, you're looking at 70 to 80. All right. Remember, we are looking at what is your life expectancy. If your life expectancy is 85, 90, you're looking at the next 20 years. So if I'm looking at next 20 years, this is the time. If I don't do anything now to look at some sort of passive income, then that's it. So for example, if you have 500,000 saved towards or $1 million, whatever you have there as a lump sum or investments, Tarian, don't care where you live in. If a major illness comes up, it wipes out everything, including all your
and
plans.
you're not better. And you're not better.
And you're not better. Seriously, right? I look at it as saying, okay, I will try my best as much as I can to keep myself healthy. All right? That money, to me, is critical for me to survive or live comfortably for the next 20 years. Although I said we're looking at 10-year periods, but I know at least the next 10 years.
You have no more income earning, so that has to go for the
yeah, and we depleted, and of course you're watching your spending habits, etc., etc. If a major illness comes after I have depleted all my contingency, emergency funds, etc., then guess what? I know, Darian. Thank you, and I feel it. I'm comfortable. Actually, you have to prepare your mind for these things. You have to prepare your mind for these things. I am one would be comfortable with that. This is maybe a statement that may be a bit controversial, but I know enough people, Tarian, who have spent, I'm talking about millions, I'm really talking about really money, medical overseas as a result of the cancer or heart, etc. Who came back? Some, I know of 2 cases where they spent, and this is over a year, getting medical treatment overseas, and Tarian, at the end of the day, girl, you know,
it is what it is.
Yeah. So knowing that, I have adjusted my mind to saying, you know what, God, if that has to be, it has to be. But up until then, I'm gonna be living comfortable.
I think that is so critical.
Let me say it like that.
Because what a lot of people do when they're thinking about this way of living issue, is we use the residential status to continue that second stage grandeur. So when we had Nigel Gardner on, he talked about the 3-story building, and in your old age, arthritis and the 3 flights of steps don't get together. He talked about the person who sold his $7 million house and went into a rental in a condominium, and that enabled him to rent till he was 100 and still
have something, yeah,
aside. And here you are now taking your investments, making decisions about illness, about whatever it is, and changing your home to give you a space that is more compatible with how you want to live in the next 2 or 3 decades. And at the same time, creating a space that not only delivers passive income to you, but also a companion to avoid aloneness, and there could be mutual support and living in that sense. And that is not to say that you are not alone. You have children and so on. But you have made a decision, as far as it is possible, using your real assets, your house, and your financial assets, your savings, to cause you to live as independently as you could and in the way that you want to for the next 20, 30 years.
And I must add for our listeners too, I'm able to maintain my health insurance also. You know, so for those who, especially those the 50s, 60s, early 60s, some people may find it's too expensive to maintain a health insurance. That is, for me, that is an investment. That is an investment I would keep, that health insurance aspect. You know, so at least you could visit a doctor and, you know, get help there.
And the other thing I want to ask Jennifer, before we get into the meat of the discussion again, now, people who visited your new duplex, I call it a duplex. I call it a duplex.
I'm so proud of it.
Your little duplex, your nice duplex, because it's the square footage of your original home.
Yeah.
And with the way it's been designed. And the responses range from, oh gosh, look how the apartment's so fancy. It's nicer than where you are. Or whoosh, this must be spent a set of money. Oh, whoosh, I don't have all this set of money and so on. I'm not interested in the how much money it was, because you took your savings and you put it there. People visit you and they say it looked like $1 million. You had $1 million.
I could with that.
Like $50,000. You had $50,000. Let them figure it out.
Whatever, I accept that.
But I want you to talk about how you did it, the process you went through. And the reason that I want you to describe that, Jennifer, is too many of us talk about what we should do or what we plan to do. And we don't start because we think it's too expensive and we can't do it. But you are not an engineer, you're not an architect, but I think this was you and a contractor. What was the process like?
First, for those who are on with us and who really want to move forward, Terry, and my question would be, what are you waiting for? Because each person would answer differently. And most of the time, when you check it out, you have no reason to be just waiting and putting off. We are at this age, this is the time. Okay, let me start by saying, this is the time. And to get the process growing, you have to write down your goal. You have to write down what you want, what you really want. If you're living in a house, do I want to remain in this house? Do I want to move somewhere else? Do I really need money? What are your concerns? What are you waiting on? So if I ask, what are you waiting on? Write down that. That to me, the answer would be your concerns, right? Because you're waiting on, because you don't have enough money, because the children tell you this, because the house, a lot of things. Okay. So for me, what am I waiting on? I'm not waiting on anything. I'm ready. Okay. And what am I doing to do? And I mentioned the 3 concerns. So I address those 3 concerns in doing that. I used a professional. I believe, Tarian, in whatever you're doing, if you don't have the skills, use a professional. If you don't know how to work out your financial situation, you use a professional to help you sort it out. So if it is that you're concerned that you don't have enough money, sit down and chat with a professional who will help you work out. But you have to decide what you want.
Yeah,
so if you want an apartment,
what you want to do, yeah.
Right. So my first thing, I looked at what it is I wanted. And this is what I wanted. The cost. You can't just pull a figure out your head. All right? You have to understand cost. So because I knew what I wanted and I knew, I had to be within a certain budget, I first had an architect come in, and I say an architect I can boast because my niece really was the person who came in, but was able to show me what I can do for the money that I have. Okay, so that was the first thing. So anybody can do that. You don't have the money, you talk to somebody who will help you, but you need to know a budget. You need to have a budget, right, to know what you're working with. So I did that. When I got that, the next thing, of course, is you need a contractor. All right. But again, I plan, Tarian, you working with a budget. If you have to keep costs down, you have to manage it. I have decided that. I decided that I have the skills to manage the money, to manage the spending. I have the skills to do that.
And what are those skills, Jennifer?
Those skills will know how to keep within budget and to go out. And let me tell you,
shopping.
I use, and that's it. If you're out there, you're comparing prices.
Exactly.
Seriously, that's what you're doing.
Go to the hardware store, get your prices. And
what I did now, it may be easy for someone to say, leave it to the contractor to do it, or the contractors just get a discount, etc., etc. I decided not to go that way.
If it isn't your budget to do it, you could do it.
Yeah. The contractor, fortunately, when he looked at the plan and went through with me, each stage, and this is what I asked for, and you can ask, this is how I know, that's the only way I could have managed it. Each area, I needed a breakdown about the materials separate and the labor cost separate. So if it's plumbing, this is what I need, this is the cost. If it's roofing, this is what I need, this is the cost. So material and labor, I had that separate. Okay? We went through the labor cost, and for the material, I say, okay, I am going to purchase all my material.
Was that hard?
For me, no. For me, no.
No, you're saying for you, but what did it entail?
No, just entail a contractor. You talk, of course, I got someone. I got a contractor who I could work with. I couldn't work with someone.
No, and those things are understood.
Yeah.
But
so you go with the contractor, and he said, well, I recommend this place and that place. I said, listen, I need two options. I must always have two options of whatever we are going to. And we go and we shop. Tiles and thing, I don't need anybody to go for. I go in, I got my daughter to go with me. All the fixtures and thing, we went, we price, we shop around, we did more than two. We really shop around.
Well, it's shopping.
And that sort of thing.
You know, one of the things that's again, that really, and this is in the realm of getting to your own home. All of us have all kinds of dreams that we sit down and we just don't act upon. And when we break down the steps to get there, these steps are no different to decisions that we will take for the buying shoes and handbag or pants and alcohol. You're buying bricks and cement and rebar.
Yeah, but many of us at this stage, we run in a home. We run in a home. We live in somewhere and we run in a home.
You know? So Jennifer, not to take up all of the show with this part of the interview, but I really, really wanted to, what do you feel, how you are now installed in your what you want to call home, you know, where you're living, until the Lord comes for you or whatever. How do you feel?
I am actually, I feel very happy about it. I feel proud, really, really proud that I was able to pull it off. As I told a friend, I did it. I did it. I am not at all scared. I am waiting, of course. It's just recently finished, so I am waiting on a renter, which I know I will get very soon.
Yeah, as I said,
I'm that positive.
You only need one sale.
Yes.
One
I'm that positive. So I feel very good about it. I didn't mind. You surprised me by asking me questions, but I'm happy to share because I really believe in sharing. People will know that they can do it. They can do it. I am not that different from anybody else. So you all can do it, both men and women who planning for the next 10, 20 years, planning your life. Where are you living? It's important to make that decision now. So I feel really good, Terry, about it.
Yeah. I really thought that it was necessary to use that living experience that you're going through right now. Because Jennifer, this thing about where you're living, we both looked at different videos webinars. One looked at the challenges of aging, and one looked at the issue of domestic violence and women and children, and 4 vulnerable groups were identified in society: children, women, the elderly, and those who are disabled. And the consensus was that the key vulnerabilities facing all of them as time goes on: financial, and as we said in our first question, who you're minding. The second was vulnerability with housing, because they don't tend to think for children it's a different story, but for adults, they don't think too far into the future, and a lot of them live on expectations that don't come true. Where you're living, they face health challenges, how you're going, and they really have no plan for purpose in life. What you doing? And I really thought that your story was a good intro to show what is possible, And my last question to you would be, for the 5.8G tribe, what are the issues we need to be honest about when we're talking about where you live in?
I think we have to be very honest in terms of where we want to live, what type of home we want, or what type of and I'm saying honest on that because, and I just recently chatting with a friend, sharing, and they're saying, you're really brave to make that move, etc., etc. And they felt that they are comfortable where they are because they lived in that particular area and all your friends are there. All right. If you're really honest about that, that's the only reason. They're not the actual living conditions where they are. They're not comfortable. Not that it's not a nice home, but how the home is set up, they're no longer comfortable because of their different issues, health challenges. Let me put it that way.
Might have
all right.
Might be too close.
Yeah. So the health challenges. So when I ask the question, what type of home would you really like to live in? What sort of environment? And they tell me nothing much, just something flat, a nice space and comfortable, which is something that they can afford to have. But yet still, they're not giving up that cherished home because of the neighbors. My next to 2 aspects, I would say, one, if they're being honest, their neighbors are not there again. When I say that, their circle of friends that they had, remember we are talking 50 plus, right? Those who had to migrate, and this is serious, those who had to migrate because their children away and they send for them. I just had a situation like that where that person, friend had to go away because they, health challenges again, and they had to sell their home and go. All right. The other thing is our friends, we can't help ourselves as we did before. I'm not saying we old and feeble, but in terms of, the kind of support. So when you talk about you grow up in the neighborhood, you're living in the neighborhood for the last 40 years, you can't leave. Why? The question is why? We have been asking this, why can't you leave? You're not being honest. And let me tell you, you may reach a stage, Terry-Ann, and I've experienced that. My friends are within my age group. I'm seeing different situations. As a coach, people talk to me on different things. Listen, Terry-Ann, if we don't make a decision now, not all of us have to leave our homes, of course, but I'm saying if we don't look at where we are living or where we want to be at this stage, then we may be forced to leave for different reasons. We're forced to leave because we cannot upkeep the home that we want to. We're forced to leave because these children are coming back to the nice house that you thought that you built for them. A lot of reasons. So you need to face reality. Ask yourself, what is keeping you back? What you really want? What type of home you really want to live in?
I think, Jennifer, on the issue of this neighborhood story, I think one of the things that we also have to be very honest about is not only that your friends in the neighborhood that have moved on, they may have died, they may have moved, they've gone with their children, but also a lot of the homes may be occupied by the next generation, or they may have been sold, and the neighborhood is not the same. So there is a real safety issue, and safety not for somebody to break down your door, but the reliability of calling out to that neighbor. Now, a neighbor may come in the face of an extreme emergency, life and death, call the ambulance, get you to the hospital. But that neighborliness of, ask yourself the question, when was the last time you visited your neighbor or your neighbor visited you, apart from over the fence, hello neighbor, morning, how you going? When was the last time have you gone into your neighbor's house to sit down, to have a chat about life and share the issues and so on? You may have done it when the children were growing up or you had similar interests. But they talk about a neighborhood and a community, but when you really think about it, the community isn't there, and you're propping up yourself in a big old empty house.
But Terry, unfortunately for us, I find in Trinidad now, we have many communities now that and you say elderly, I think of me, that you can move into, that you can feel very safe. I remember in growing up, and people talk, especially overseas, when you travel, and you may hear him talking about a mother-in-law house, or they never say, I don't ever hear father-in-law, it always be
women live longer.
Mother-in-law home or something, where the children will build onto their homes an apartment where the parent or whoever surviving parent could come and live, and I always was fascinated about it. I always thought that was such a great idea to have that, and my parents were used to that. When you reach a certain age, they will sell their home and then move, to separate thing where they're close to their families. I didn't see that like not a culture that we adopted. And I don't know.
The difference is that it's easy to do that in a continent where it is just, for them, it's a mother-in-law moving to our house. But for us, it will be, if your children abroad, is migration. And it's a completely different issue.
But why can't it be done the same way here?
And I think because a lot of us live on lots of land that can't accommodate a whole apartment. And if you have an apartment, you're looking to rent it. But
that is, and just came to me because there are different options. There are the options those who already have beautiful homes and they can adjust accordingly. You know, so I'm not saying move out of your beautiful home that you could adjust to. I'm just saying, look at your situation, look at where you are living, whether it is somewhere that you want to remain and you will be very comfortable for the next 20 years, or when you look around, you have to downsize or may make a decision, because I have other client right now making that decision. She has a beautiful home, but it's she alone and it's really too big. So she's decided, you know what? She's gonna be selling that and looking to move into maybe a town or a complex, a condominium type complex where you have neighbors around, and it's also beautiful and safe.
Yeah.
So we have to look at our situation.
Another issue, when we did the who is minding you issue, we told our listeners that they need to, if it's difficult to have the financial conversation with your children or whoever it is, you gave that great suggestion. Ask them, what is your expectation?
Yes.
I would suggest that a lot of us swallow hard, because a lot of us are sitting pretty and have an expectation of what the children will do.
Oh yeah.
And the children will, no, they will see, but no. Ask your child, would you take me in to live with you? It's a very different thing, a child, but an adult child being willing to support you in your own home to live independently. But unless you know the truth about whether your children are in a position to or are willing to take you in full time, whether it is in their home or in the mother-in-law pad, you need to know. Because if you're going down the road thinking, well, they have an extra room, I will go there. You don't know. Sometimes your grandchildren have to move into the house with their children and wife or husband, and that room that you think is yours is not available to you. Your children may be living lifestyles that they can't afford, or it's just not convenient to have you there. And you know, part of where you're living is checking, ask the question, you know, son or daughter.
But Terry, and I think the first thing we should all do, and I agree with you, you need to know what the children think. And actually, that question I remember asking my daughters, and what will you do? And they say, Mommy, we will support you. And I say, well, in the meanwhile, let me out.
You ain't coming by me. I'm
not too sure about that. Not that I don't trust them, and I really feel the worst case scenario.
It won't be about
my aid.
Worst case.
But be realistic. You said be realistic, and if you're being realistic, I would say look and see where you can help. Well, we have couples, so it's not everybody is single. So you have couples, you know. So in a couple situation, you sit and you discuss with both of you all, how would you like both of you all, where you would like to live? Do we want to remain in this big house? Do we downsize? Do we go into? They have so many beautiful condominiums now. You have the elevator.
Gated communities. Yeah.
So we have a lot of that. So because Jennifer, you may have built your home in some other areas.
A word of advice for couples. If both of you head into 70, head into 80, please don't have it as a plan. I will take care of you and you will take care of me. Because you're going to get to the stage when neither of you could take care of the other. And this issue of where would you live must also take into account, just as you said, whoever your neighbor might not be a young a person your age. You have to take into consideration, how are you going to handle emergencies, and is the person who either lives with you or has access to your home able to take care of you?
Yeah.
That's a very...
And carry on their situations, because situations vary, and we understand that. There's situations where you're already living with your children. you know, or with your daughter, or with your son, or with your in-laws. Even then, you still have to have that discussion with them. Are you comfortable, or how would you feel better? Do you want them, would you like them to, maybe I would take my money and put on a room, or make the room more comfortable or something. Don't be afraid of that, because if you're already living with your child, or whoever you're living with there, it means you will be there for the next 20 years
Exactly.
with them.
Young
with them.
children now will become adults, and you.
Yeah. So whether they themselves move and you move with them, however, as long you foresee they living with you, or you living with them for the next 10, 20 years, then you still want to be comfortable in it. You don't want to be there, and if you're uncomfortable now, you know what's happening in the next 10, 20 years.
Your grandchildren.
So it is something, yeah, it's something to discuss and volunteer, because it's only fair. If you are there and you're still receiving your pension, or you have money invested, etc., and you are living there, Terry, and I think it's only fair to have a discussion if you can help to make yourself as comfortable as you can. Because they may want to extend, they may want to do something. You can't sit back and say, not my money. You understand? It's your money, yes, but you need to help to make you comfortable. You know, hold on and say, it's not my house, it's their own, let them do what they want, but you're uncomfortable and you're complaining. So you have different situations. You talk about facing the reality. Face the reality. Where would you be living in the next 10, 20 years? What type of arrangement you want, you know?
Jen,
and how you can help.
We've talked about where you're living, and we've assumed you own your home, and we've assumed that you either will be living with your children, or your family living with you,
or your spouse,
and there is a communal living and so on. But there is an option that many people hate to think about, and it is that, no, you don't have your own home, and no, there is no one who will take the responsibility of handling you in your old age. And you have to find somewhere else to live, and you have to go into a senior residential home. And many of us have very, very negative stereotypes and ideas about retirement homes. I remember when we had
that discussion.
But we need to really, really think about it. If you don't have your own home, you're probably renting, and you don't foresee your income being able to carry rental, or you have your own home, but you don't have the means to maintain it or handle yourself in it, or you don't have the children, everybody going away, your siblings not here, or they've died, everyone has died. There is no one to take care of you. What's your choice? Have hired help living with you, or you go into a retirement home? Why do we have such a problem with retirement homes?
Recently, I think it's just a difference in the whole culture. Recently, I was having a chat with someone, and the same thing about the aging and what's happening in the next 20 years. And they were sharing this story about their friend's mom, lives overseas, lives in the States, who decided when she was 75, say, you know what? I am working into a home. She chose the type of facility she wanted to go in, because they have a wider choice up there. The type of facility, and she booked herself in and is quite happy living there. I think we have our mindset, Tehran, is not a culture here to do it. So what I would suggest also is that in a case like that, you may have to find, like my granddaughter tell me, a roommate who would I'm looking for a renter, and she's telling me, Granny, you're looking for a roommate? And I say, well, yes. So yeah, you're actually in this case looking for a roommate. who would share. So if you have a roommate and they share that rent, it would help. So you still you decide, I will still continue living here. There are people outside there will be in my situation too. You try to get someone who's suitable and who you can live with.
Your home.
And you all make that arrangement. So
But
you would be two persons growing old, of course, being able to live together, sharing the rent and the other different type of expenses within the home, and you live very happy. That's if you don't want to book into a retirement home.
But Jennifer, one of the things that I want to advise people to do while you are able-bodied, I think most people, their last visits to a retirement home, or as they say, the poorhouse, because 30 years ago, when you think
They
of
don't even have that again.
Home,
so yeah,
it was the poorhouse or something like that. I would suggest that you and your spouse or you and a friend just do a search of senior residences in Trinidad and arrange to go and visit them. Every residence will allow you to come in at some point, just out of curiosity. You can have your home, you can have every single thing.
And have those that accept couples, huh?
Of course, there are homes that allow every possible form of living. But I think because things have changed so much, and then they always talk about elder abuse and all that may be few and far between. And in today's management, no. If there's a home that is abusing elders, that is a well-kept secret, and it's a community keeping it a secret.
Yeah.
But it won't last for long. But I really do think that we need to, whether we plan to or not, Google retirement homes in Trinidad and go visit them. Understand what life is like. Go see the rooms, see their programs, see their facilities. And I think many of us will be very, very surprised. And we may be happy to know that there are other options available to every pocket level that may be available to us. Because this issue of where would you be living is serious. Yeah. If you don't decide, you could be on a cardboard on the street. I'm being extreme, but it's true.
You need to plan. And that's something, this is a different time you're in, Terry-Ann. In my parents' time, and now at my mother's age, you find the children we had that commitment and felt very obligated to take care. Now it's not that the children don't care, but the times has changed tremendously, and they may not be able to do that, to come, to make that type of commitment. Some may be overseas and different situations. So it's really for you to watch your situation, face the reality of the times we are living in, the 10 to 20 years that you have again, and make the decision. Enjoy your home.
Jennifer, you are 70, your mother is 100 and going strong. You're dealing with 30 years. You are dealing with 30 years. Okay. So, listen, we have been talking. We just have a few minutes left. But it is so important to really, really think about where are you going to be living for the next 25, 30 years and why. It is important. So we really hope that we've put some things out there to get you thinking and to get you acting. I want to stress the action. Come out of the world of think and if and wonder. Once you're using your imagination and you have not gotten recent information to back up what's in your imagination, please go out and act. We really want us to be able to.
And Terry-Ann, someone told me, God, Jennifer, I can't confuse myself at this stage. And I'm saying, what stage? When you will do that?
You'll be more confused.
Next thing
when
you
you're
know, you're too
85.
old. No, seriously. He said, nah, that is too much trouble. And I'm saying, what trouble? If it's too much trouble for you now at 60, at 70, because we're looking at going into your 70s, preparing for your 70s. If it's too much trouble for you now when you're 60 plus, listen to me. Think about it.
Not doing it at 85.
So what are you waiting on? You know?
Great. So that's Where Are You Living? Great.
Yeah, and we still remember we have our program taking you into the 70s. So you can always give us a call, set your appointment, and get started.
Great. So make your decision, decide where you're living, and give us a call if you need help. So until next week, when we start talking about how you're really going.
Well, yes, you could tell us then. We may get some great feedback how you're going.
All right. So we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
50 Plus Tribe and followers from Trinidad and Tobago and the Caribbean.
Thank you for joining us on this Connections 50 Plus 5.8G Alive show.
We hope you enjoyed the lively conversation and look forward to seeing you next week.
Don't forget to like our Facebook page and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
We really love getting your feedback. Bye for now.